I've been asked how I make these videos. It all starts with an idea, and sometimes that idea comes from you in the comments. The viewer commented that said that there are two sites you might want to look at. One is where the Oregon tracks are visible right next to the road, and the other one is where an interesting story happened that I'm just beginning to research. It appears people were in 1860s, early 1860s, were attacked by Indians. A number of them were killed. A number of them starved to death, and some survived by eating the flesh of the others. But I don't know the full story yet, but we're going to look at where these sites are and how I start my videos. It all begins again with an idea, and this idea is coming from a viewer. I got a comment from Rob Davidson, and he said that if you go out in Eastern Oregon by Keeney Summit around Vail or Nyssa, Oregon, that the wagon tracks are visible. And we're talking this area here, which is in Eastern Oregon, right on the border with Idaho, right along the Snake River. And we can zoom in on this area. And these are the two sites he's talking about. Here's the Keeney Pass, and this is the part on the Snake River, the Oregon Trail on the Snake River. And so let's start up here on Keeney Pass. And so what I would do is go into this area and click on this, and you can actually look at photos to get an idea of what's in the area, so what you can help plan your trip when you go out to film. And so this gives you an idea of what's here. There's kiosks, there are signs. You can see it looks like these are the wagon ruts going up the hill. I'm not positive because I have not been out there yet, but it gives you an idea of what's out there. There's more interpretive signs in the area. Looks like they had a fire burn through there. This looks like from the road, and it looks as if in the distance you can see the Oregon Trail ruts. You said that they're parallel to the road. Anyway, if we close back out of this and zoom in on this area on Google Maps, it appears as we get in close, here's the interpretive center, that these look as if these are the wagon ruts. So they are right parallel to the road, right next to the interpretive center. Well, before we get to Starvation Camp, which is located down here, right along the Oregon-Idaho border, I wanted to take a 360-degree view of Keeney Pass. And so we can do that in Google Maps, clicking here, and you can see exactly what you'll see when you get there. And so you can see you come off the road here, there's a parking area and a kiosk, and it looks as if you can hike out here and see some more signs. And the Oregon Trail went right through this area, so it should be pointing out places where you can actually see the trail. And you can see from here it's wide open area, so this looks perfect for flying the drone when I get out there. So again, Starvation Camp is here, and we're going to talk about that in a second. And we were looking here at Keeney Pass, but the Oregon Trail came here they crossed the Snake River from Idaho, and then walked with their wagons up here to Keeney Pass, and then on through the town of Vail. So Vail is an interesting town because it's one of the few places on the Oregon Trail, maybe the only place, where the trail actually went right through the center of town. And Vail has put murals up all over downtown celebrating the fact that they are a site where the Oregon Trail came through. And so if we look at the Chamber of Commerce for the city of Vail, they show a map of downtown Vail, and it lists all the different murals. And so we can actually take a look at these murals and with the location of where it is, and they've written a description about what happened or what the mural is all about. So they have Native Americans on the North Fork of the Malheur River, mountain men camping along the banks, of the river, steam engines coming through. And again, these are all murals on side the buildings. And then this one's an interesting story. This is a wagon train led by Stephen Meek in his ill-fated attempt to find a shortcut to the Willamette Valley. And one story from the Meek Trail that still survives is of a little girl who carried a blue bucket when she went in search of water with a group of other children. Days later, gold nuggets were discovered in the bottom of her bucket. This gave rise to the legend of the lost blue bucket mine. Although many have searched, the source of the gold nuggets remains a mystery. And this mural is on the side of the Les Schwab Tire Center. So if you're ever down there in Vail, be sure to take a look at this one. And they have here another one, a mural about the death on the Oregon Trail. They said the Oregon Trail has been called a long continuous cemetery. 1 person out of every 10 who traveled the trail died on the journey west, mostly from disease or accidents. Cholera epidemics were common and killed many thousands of immigrants and Native Americans alike. The lonesome grave of this mural is of a 6-year-old girl who died in 1874. And they say you can actually still see the gravesite between the Vail Crossing and the lower Willow Creek. And again, this mural is also on the Les Schwab Tire Center. If we go to the other site he mentioned, it's down here, the Oregon Trail site. And if we click on the photos here, we can see this is Snake River Crossing. And there's a marker here. There's a kiosk with a sign about starvation camp. And this is something I had no idea about. It was in September 1860, there were 26 people arrived here. And then it was a 2-day attack by Indians in which 11 immigrants were killed. And after the survivors were discovered here by Indians, some continued on down the Oregon Trail, only to be killed later. The other survivors waited for rescue. A boy was killed by the Indians and 4 children died from starvation. And those still alive eventually ate the flesh of the dead to preserve their own lives. This is a very interesting story, which I don't know any more about than what I just read here on the sign. So this would be something to research before I go out there. But again, there's a marker here. You can see Old Oregon Trail at the site, the historical marker sign along the highway, kiosk here as well. And so here you can get a really good sense of the area. What's here, you just drive down the road, there's a place to pull off in the sign. And this gives you some sense of what the area is like. So when you're planning to film. And the thing that's particularly of interest to me, and if I fly the drone, is all the power lines, so you can get an idea where not to fly and where you can fly. So it looks as if you're going to be here, you would be flying away from the power lines, so you don't get tangled up in that area. But again, this very quickly, right from home, you can get an idea of what's out there in the area. In the next video on this topic, we'll look at how we do the research. How do we find out the stories of the people who were involved, and why were they there even in the first place? Be sure to like and subscribe to this video, and if you're interested in joining this channel, you'll get early access to future videos. We look forward to seeing you on the next adventure. Take care.